Uh, let's start with the first question. I think from one of our customers, Joshua. So how can they buy physical gold from you guys, and can they take it physically, meaning hold it in their hands?
So, of course, now if you're a client of Unicapital, you can talk to your RM and they will make the introduction. It's very simple. The process of buying gold, we open an account for you. It takes a day. You just copy of passport, proof of address, and then basically tell us what you want to purchase and where you want it, and we do the transaction. It's very immediate. The time from payment until delivery is usually within the same day. It's a very efficient market. Just get in touch with the RM in the capital and make sure they'll and they can arrange for you to get introduction, or you have our contact information there. In terms of taking it physically, the short answer is yes, because it's yours. We are merely custodians. You can come any day of the week, knock on the door and say, give me my gold. We give it to you, and we part as friends because it's your asset. But I do urge you to take into consideration what I mentioned. If you bring it officially to Philippines, you'll have high tax, and if you do it otherwise, you break the law, which we highly recommend not to do that. And then if you decided to break the law and you now have it in the Philippines, the option of selling it will be quite difficult, because again, legally they have to send it to the Bank of Central at a low price, below market value. But if you want to find other solution, you go to Chinatown in Manila or whatever, they will charge you also. You will be charged quite a lot. And then the option is to try to carry it back to Hong Kong or Singapore and bring it back to us. So I would say, again, as I mentioned, we do have clients that take it home. I wouldn't recommend it if it's a professional investment. I would really keep it same as you do with your portfolio with Unicapital. You keep it, you let them manage it for you. You let them be the custodians, and I think that's a more professional way to do it.
All right. I guess another question for you, Joshua, is very simple. How much is a bar of gold right now? If we were to buy a bar of gold right now, yeah.
No, I don't. I don't have an easy answer, because bars of gold go from 1 gram to 12.5 kilograms.
Okay.
I can tell you the most common bar is 1 kilogram, which is the size of a phone, a bit smaller than a phone, which the price today is around $58,000 US.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, and this is 1 kg. It looks like this. It's something that some of clients are shocked to see that they can just put it in their pocket. It's so small, yet it's worth so much.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. I think we have a question for Gavin here. You've already discussed diversification to some degree and even bordering to asset allocation already. So do you have quick tips for investors on how to determine their portfolio mix? Kasi just like me, I have a view, diba? And then I try to, allocate my assets based on different, asset classes. So do you have any quick tips for customers?
All right. So hi. So thanks for the question. In general, you'd have to look at your time horizon for the investment. And when I say time horizon, it's I don't want to confuse it with your age, because the time horizon could be short, even if you're a young person. Let's say you're 25-year-old, and then you're planning to have an investment that you plan to liquidate in 5 years. Maybe you're going to get married, or you want to buy a house or a car. So even if you're 25 years old, your investment time horizon is actually short. So that's 5 years. So it depends on what is your purpose for making that investment. Now, if your investment is, let's say, you want to prepare for retirement, let's say you're 25 years old, you want to start buying gold so that you can prep for your retirement 40 years or 50 years later, then you have a very long time horizon. So in terms of how much of your portfolio to put into different investment securities, it would have to depend on why you're investing in the first place, meaning the purpose of your investment. So if your purpose is to prepare for retirement and not really for something that you want to buy 3 or 5 years from now, then by all means you can go for something riskier like stocks or things that appreciate in value like gold or properties. But if it's something that you might need in the next 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, you might want to consider something less volatile, so that just to make sure
Okay.
that if the time comes you want to sell it, you have a good price for it.
All right. Thank you very much. I know also a close friend of mine who does this as a family event. He talks to his wife about all these goals, and they try to invest
Oh.
during New Year's or anniversaries. Very interesting.
By the way, if I may, I just want to add one thing about the allocation,
Yeah.
because actually the World Gold Council did an analysis, and what they recommend is to put up to 10% of one's portfolio in gold, because statistically it enhances the performance of the portfolio. So we definitely, and I agree with Gavin, we definitely don't tell clients, oh, give us everything you have, put it in gold. That's not the right way, as Gavin said, to build a portfolio. But it is proven that up to 10%, and usually we see around 5 to 10% of portfolio, give you a very good this hedge that Gavin mentioned in case there's a stability in the other markets.
Right. Okay, Joshua, we have another question for you. Which precious metals are you most bullish on? I think it's a specific question, whether gold or silver.
Yeah, well, it's a tricky question. I'll tell you. And this I would give. It depends what's the rationale behind investment. I can tell you behind investment. I am personally, I'm very risk averse person. So I can tell you by far I hold more gold than anything else, because I like the slow appreciation. I like the fact it doesn't move up and down too dramatically. Having said that, we see good opportunity in silver now, as I mentioned, because silver is underpriced in our opinion. It will appreciate. And then when you consider that for 1 ounce of gold, you can have 80 ounces of silver, think of $2 rise in price on 1 ounce or on 80 ounces. So you can make more money on the silver. So we think silver we're more bullish in terms of what the potential for appreciation. And I also mentioned the silver now is 40% below its all-time high. So there's a lot more space there to grow. Gold is, I think, 10% below its all-time high. So there is potential for growth, but I would say silver has more, I'm a bit more bullish in terms of price, but that goes back to the rationale of investment. And to some extent, I would also look at the platinum and palladium group, the PGM metals group, because they're very interesting. Palladium has gone up in price dramatically because it's been used in the hybrid cars. And today there's a big deficit in supply. So I would consider also looking at platinum and at palladium, and also platinum has also some deficit in supply, and there are more uses for platinum. So I would say, if you ask me, in terms of shorter term appreciations, more bullish on silver, platinum, palladium first, and then gold. And I would like to mention that we had quite a big correction yesterday, and all metals went down around 5%. So it's really now in a very, very great entry point in terms of prices.
All right. Me, as a personal question, Joshua, do you have any materials that we can read on the demand of these metals? They have a research group or something?
Yeah, so definitely, if you go to our website, jrotbart.com, if you go to our website, we publish every 2-3 weeks. We have a research we're doing. We try to do it very, I'm not a finance guy. I think your team maybe will find them very simplified, but we find our clients to find it. It's kind of what you call a layman analysis of the market. We try to break it down to easy to understand articles on what's happening with silver, what's happening with gold. So go to our website in the blog section, and there's a lot of information there. If you go to our YouTube channels, there are a lot of interviews we've been giving lately and when we try to analyze the market. So definitely use our YouTube channel and our blog section in the website.
All right, fantastic. We have another question here, Joshua. You mentioned a while ago in passing that if they buy gold, they can also take a loan on it. Is that correct for
Correct.
liquidity purposes?
Yes.
Can you explain that more?
Yeah, and it's something that we're finalizing it's still under pilot program, which was very successful, and it's very simple. Let's say you buy $100,000 worth of gold from us, and you keep it in Hong Kong. But your colleagues, Ed, now have maybe a great investment opportunity for the client, or maybe the client needs some money to buy a house for his daughter, or maybe they need cash flow for the business. They can keep this gold, take a loan, take up to $85,000. If it's against $100,000, they can take $85,000 back, use it the way they find suit, and return the money at the end of either 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's something we try to do. So it's a non-bank loan. It's a private loan. And we're proud of being very flexible on the terms. We're not selling anyone's gold. We had a client that was late in paying back the loan amount because actually he was sailing and didn't have a reception. When he came back for reception, he used two banks. He thought it would be like a mortgage. Maybe we sold his gold, sold his house, who knows what. He's all stressed about it, right? No, we don't work this way. It's such a personal relationship that we understand. So it's a more flexible, I would say, laid back loan. Of course, there are calls. If the price of gold drops now dramatically, the client will need to top up. There will be a margin call. If suddenly the gold loses all its value, we will sell the gold. But the gold is held, still owned by the client. It's very important, owned by the client. But they cannot, in this case, they cannot take it outside the vault until they paid the loan because the gold is the collateral.
Yeah. All right. I think there are a lot of questions about the service fees and minimums, which I think Zach is already answering via the chat. So thank you, Zach. So if you have any more questions, guys, please feel free to type into the Q&A box or in the chat box. And we hope that we can find some time to answer it as well. So I guess we can round down to just the last two questions here. I think another one for Joshua. Are you partnered with other banks and wealth institutions in the Philippines, aside from Unicapital?
We do.
Okay.
We have a relationship, and I will not mention all of them. I'll
Okay.
just mention one. I'll mention BDO Private Bank, and I'll give them the credit for being the first in the Philippines that were interested to offer to this client. But I have to tell you, not many. I think you're also one of the first. I'm not going to mention the others, but I think the model that we're having, and that's something actually we tried with BDO, and it worked very nicely, is that when a client comes to the bank or to Unicapital and want to make this investment, we feel comfortable catering to this client because they come from a reputable institution. So in terms of due diligence, in terms of the source of funds, all these things we need to feel assured about. Right. We know if you're sending client, we know it's a good client. So we like this model where we have this relationship where the relationship managers are involved. We get some background on the client. Is it a matter of passing wealth to the next generation? It is more of just making a lucrative investment. So it helps actually, this relationship help us get more information on the client and being able to tailor their more to their need. And we're very excited about the relationship in the capital. I think you're probably, I think you're the first, I would say, non-bank, right, in an investment company that actually offers this to this client. And this, I give you the credit of being able to see the potential. And actually, I have to tell you, is you're taking care of your clients. You know, we have banks, and I think I have to tell you, Philippines a bit different. We have banks let's say in Singapore. We talk to a bank, but that means you're taking money out of our assets under management. We're going to make less money on the client. And I think what we like about what you're doing is that you see beyond that. It's not only about the nickel or dime you squeeze from the client, you're really taking care of the diversification and the financial strength of the client. And I have to give you the credit of really looking beyond those petty cash things and looking really on the wealth and what we call the wealth well-being of the client.
All right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Thank you for that. I think there's a question on another question here, which I can answer. So I think the question is, are we transacting with Unicapital? The answer is no. Or we will make a referral to J. Rotbart. You will transact directly to with J. Rotbart and Co.
Yes, correct.
All right. Okay. So I think we have the last question here. No, I think this is very much the concern of I think a few of our customers. Does the insurance cover 100% of the gold, Joshua?
So yes, very good question. So everything is insured, whether it's during transport, in the vault, in the air, being shipped from the refinery. There's liability coverage that covers 100% of the actual value. So let's say you'd invested 200,000, now it's 400,000. For some reason, there's a loss. You get paid the current value, not the historic value. Again, it's a very good question. It's very important. It's one of the downsides of not doing it professionally, of just keeping it under the pillow, under the mattress. So in this case, definitely one of the upsides is that the full coverage and the full value of the metal.
Sorry, Joshua, one last question out of my personal curiosity. What's the basis of the intrinsic value? I understand that a very good point that you've mentioned. It's the first asset class, but I think they use it for jewelry and beautifying themselves, but now what's the basis of that steady growth over a long period of time?
It's so I'll tell you what, and definitely when the economy is very good, people buy jewelry.
Yeah.
So the consumption goes to jewelry. When the economy is bad, people buy it as for investment. So they buy the bars and the coins to protect themselves. Right. So I would say this is the investment and the jewelry market are the biggest sources of demand, and they balance themselves. And on top of that, we have the central banks. So even if you look at the figures, since 2008, since the financial crisis, central banks have been buying gold constantly. Why? And who's buying? It's interesting. Russia is buying gold. China is buying gold. Turkey is buying gold. East European countries are buying gold. And the reason they're buying gold is because it's an alternative to the US dollar, actually. They look at it the same way we look at it. It's either you hold dollar or you hold gold. You want to have both of them to diversify. Even on a government level, you want to diversify your portfolio. So I wouldn't underestimate, I said jewelry and investment, but I wouldn't underestimate the importance of the central banks. Even Hungary now bought a lot of gold. Philippines bought in 2019. China doing it in a way, in the Chinese way. Every 3 years, they suddenly advertise that they bought like tons and tons of gold. They keep it quiet, and then after a few years, they tell you, "Oh, it just boosted our gold reserves." So I'd say this is the third segment. Make sure the demand is there.
All right. Thank you very much, Joshua and Gavin, for sharing your knowledge with us this afternoon. Once again, guys, if you're interested in knowing more about this product, I think Joshua has given us their contact details, or if not, please do reach out to your agents, or you can email us at utrade@unicapital-inc.com, and we'll be happy to refer you or make that referral to our friends from Joshua Rotbart, from J. Rotbart.
And as I mentioned, J. Rotbart, JROTBART.com is where you can either get in touch, see videos, get some resources, educate yourself. It's not something that it's funny. We say it's such a basic asset, but we don't know much about it. We're used to financial products to buy online. So educate yourself, read about it in the website, and get to know us.
All right. So everyone, also, we would appreciate if you would take the time to answer our surveys after we close this webinar. We'd be happy to improve our next sessions of the Art of Diversification. Once again, thank you, guests. Thank you, Joshua and Gavin. And everyone, happy investing.